I still remember their screams. Not the normal screams of pain you hear in every medic's room across the Imperium. Those are common, even expected. The screams that haunt me were different. They were screams of remembering, of realizing what they had become and what they had lost. The experiment was approved by Lord Corax himself. No one outside our chapter ever knew about it. After the Great Heresy, our numbers were small, and the Imperium was weak. We needed to make more warriors faster than the usual way. I was chosen to lead the project, not because I was the best surgeon, but because I could keep secrets and follow orders. I am Apothecary Solinvar of the Raven Guard. I record this now even though no one may ever hear it. Maybe that is best. Some truths should stay buried. We called them the Awakened. 20 veteran soldiers of the Astroliterum, heroes, strong in body and mind. They had seen the horrors of war and survived. They volunteered, not knowing what they were agreeing to. Usually, Space Marines are made from teenage boys. Their young bodies can better handle the implants that change them into superhuman warriors. Even then, many died during the process. Those who survive forget most of their past lives. Their childhoods fade away until only the warrior remains. But our question was this: what would happen if we tried the process on grown men? Men with memories, families, and full lives behind them. The Mechanicus said the survival rate would be less than 5%. Lord Corax approved it anyway. Even one success is enough, he said. I remember the first surgery. Subject Primus, once Captain Torian Vell, lay on the table. When I began, he looked me in the eyes. There was no fear, only duty. For the Emperor, he whispered before he slept. I didn't know then those would be his last words spoken as a man. What we didn't predict was that they would remember everything, every life they had taken, every friend they had lost, every command they had followed without question. When their bodies became stronger, their minds stayed human. They remembered, they questioned, they dreamed. That was not supposed to happen. Space Marines do not dream. Torian asked about his wife and daughter after surgery, something no Astartes would ever do. As he grew stronger, his mind refused to forget. The others were the same. They laughed, cried, and prayed to the gods of their old worlds. I told myself I was only collecting data, but over time I began to change too. I started to remember things, or feelings, I thought were gone forever. One of the Awakened, Elias Kazan, once asked me, "Do you remember your mother?" I said, "Space Marines have no mothers." He looked at me sadly and said, "Everyone has a mother, brother, even angels of death." That night I dreamed of a woman's face. I didn't know her name, but I knew she had given birth to me. For the first time in centuries, I felt human again. The Awakened were different. They created art, talked about love, watched the stars, and cried without knowing why. They were not just warriors. They were men who remembered being men. I should have reported their behavior, but I didn't. I told myself I was waiting for more data. In truth, I didn't want them destroyed. Then came the combat tests. The Awakened fought better than anyone expected. Fast, clever, united. When one of them was injured, Torian helped him like a brother, speaking softly about home and peace. "We will see Terra together, not as weapons, but as sons," he said. The others surrounded the wounded man protectively, not as soldiers, but as family. That night, Torian came to me. He looked perfect, strong, tall, flawless. But his eyes held something no space marine should have: hope. "We need to talk, apothecary," he said. "Speak freely, Torian," I told him. "Do you know what we dream of?" I shook my head. "We dream of choice. Not just following orders, but understanding them. We dream of being both what we were and what we've become. Not just human, not just Astartes, something new. The Astartes were not made to question. We were made to obey." "And how has that served humanity?" he asked. "Half our legions turned against the Emperor. Brother killed brother. If we had remembered what it meant to be human, would that have happened?" His question struck deep. It was dangerous, even heretical, to question the Emperor's design. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. "What are you saying?" I asked. "That we are not a failed experiment. We are something new. Warriors who remember why they fight. Angels who have known the touch of the earth." He leaned closer. "We cannot be the only ones. There must be others like us, others who remember. Is it heresy to want to serve humanity better? To believe remembering makes us stronger?" I had no answer. "You should go," I said at last. "Think on my words, brother. We do not seek rebellion. We seek to remember." After he left, I sat alone and thought about everything. About my dream, about the wars, about what it means to obey without question. For the first time in 200 years, I wondered if forgetting our humanity made us weaker, not stronger. What if remembering made us better protectors of mankind? What if the Emperor's mistake was not rebellion, but creating sons who could not choose loyalty for themselves? I didn't sleep that night. On the third night, I made my decision. I would keep watching. I would record the truth, not what I was ordered to see. But I had already waited too long. The awakened changed quickly after that. Torian spoke often with the others, always stopping when my peers approached, but never hiding from me. They trusted me, or were testing me. I didn't know which was worse. They fought better than anyone I had ever seen. They moved together like one mind, predicting each other's actions. A fellow apothecary, Cuse, noticed too. "They're impressive," he said, "but they act too human, too close." I agreed aloud, but inside I knew he was right, and that it wasn't wrong. That night, another awakened, Major Ducian Val, came to my quarters. "Torian believes you will help us," he said. "I am not sure." "Help you how?" I asked. He looked at me with eyes that once belonged to a man, but now shone with something beyond human. "We are changing," he said. And I knew he was right. All of us were.
Duzian looked at me with calm, serious eyes. "Apothecary, we remember what it means to be human, to love, to fear, to hope. That makes us better defenders of humanity than those who have forgotten." "That's a dangerous belief," I said carefully. "Isn't that heresy? The last heresy nearly destroyed the Imperium. Astartes turned against Astartes, Primarch against Primarch. If they had remembered what it meant to be human, would they have followed a traitor to war against all mankind?" It was the same question Torian had asked before, only said differently. Was the Emperor's design flawed? Had he made us too empty, too obedient? I cannot answer that, I said finally. None of us can, Duzian replied. But you wonder, don't you? I can see it in your eyes. He was right. I did wonder. And I knew I had just crossed a line that I could never return from. What do you plan to do? I asked quietly. What does Torian intend? Duzian studied me before answering. He believes we are a new beginning, not just for the Astartes, but for all mankind. Warriors who defend humanity because we remember being men, not because we're forced to obey. He plans to show this vision to Lord Corax when the experiment ends. His words shocked me. The Primarch will never accept this, I said. Perhaps not, Duzian admitted, but the Emperor sits on the golden throne, neither alive nor dead. His Imperium is crumbling. If there was ever a time for a new vision, it's now, from the ashes of the old dream. His words echoed my own unspoken thoughts. The Imperium was changing. The legions were breaking into smaller chapters. The Primarchs were scattered. Why not this too? And if Corax rejects your vision, if he ends the experiment, then we will know that blind obedience only leads to decay and death, Duzian said, and we will find another way. You speak of rebellion, I whispered. I speak of evolution, of becoming what we were meant to be, defenders of humanity who truly understand what they protect. He turned toward the door, then paused. Torian believes there's still a spark of humanity left in you, Apothecary. I'm not sure, but I hope he's right. When he left, I sat alone in the dark, thinking about his words. Evolution or heresy, a new beginning or another betrayal. I didn't know, but I understood now. I would have to choose a side. My choice might shape the future of the experiment, the chapter, maybe even the Imperium itself. The thought should have crushed me. Instead, I found myself thinking about the face from my dreams, the mother I couldn't remember, and wondering what she would have wanted me to choose. For the first time in centuries, I wished I could remember who I had been before all this. In the weeks that followed, the divide between the awakened and the rest of the chapter grew. The awakened fell silent when others entered. They created secret hand signals only they understood. They asked to live together, saying it helped their recovery. I noted all this in my reports, leaving out my private talks with Torian and the others. We often spoke of the same forbidden question. What if Space Marines were meant to remember? What if forgetting humanity wasn't a strength, but a terrible flaw? These thoughts filled my mind. I lost focus. Brother Kias began to notice. He started questioning my reports and my loyalty. I knew it was only a matter of time before he reported me. Then it happened. Subject Septimus, once Captain Alexei Don, came for a medical check. He had problems with an implant that was supposed to let him go without sleep. Instead, it caused flashbacks. I see my children, he said quietly, not just in dreams, even when I'm awake. I hear their voices. I tried to calm him. Your mind is still adapting. The memories will fade once the process completes. I don't want them to fade, he snapped. My memories make me who I am. They're why I fight, to protect them, even if I'll never see them again. There was desperation in his voice. I adjusted his implants, but I knew this problem could grow dangerous. You must understand, I said, these memories weren't supposed to survive. They could cause instability. He grabbed my arm with terrifying strength. Is that all we are to you? Data? Mistakes? You know that's not true, I said quietly. He tightened his grip. We were never meant to remember, never meant to feel, but we do, and that scares you. Release me, Septimus, I ordered flatly. This helps no one. After a tense moment, he let go. Forgive me, he said. The visions are getting stronger. I can't tell what's real anymore." I finished the examination in silence. Then, Brother Kias entered, eyes sharp. "Problems with the subject?" "Minor complications," I said calmly. He studied the monitors. "Minor? His mind is in chaos. Has he been seeing things?" Before I could answer, Septimus spoke. "I remember my children, Brother Kias. Does that concern you, that I remember being a father?" Kias stiffened. "Space Marines are not fathers. We are weapons. Emotion is weakness." "Is that why half the legions turned against the Emperor? Because they were weapons without conscience?" Kias glared. "You speak of things you do not understand." "Or perhaps," Septimus said, sitting up, "it's you who doesn't understand. You call it faithless to feel. But isn't it more dangerous to serve without knowing why?" Kias turned to me. "He's unstable. We must contain him and begin full neural cleansing." That meant mind wiping, maybe death. I couldn't allow it. "That won't be necessary," I said quickly. "Lord Korax ordered us to study all aspects of the experiment, including the mental ones." "This goes beyond study," Kias said coldly. "These memories could be warp corruption." "There's no proof," I countered. "Their faith may be different, but it's not tainted." "Faith?" Kias spat. "Space Marines don't need faith. We need obedience." "And that," Septimus said softly, "is the problem." Kias ignored him. "I'm reporting this, Solon. You're too close. You've lost objectivity." Before I could answer, Septimus moved, faster than any human could see. In an instant, Kias was pinned against the wall. "You will not threaten him," he growled. "Release him," I ordered. For a terrible moment, I thought he wouldn't. Then, slowly, he let go. "Forgive me," he said, voice flat again. "The implant affects my control." Kias straightened, furious. "This incident will go in my report. You've proven this project is unstable." "Your report will be one of many," I said quickly. "Lord Korax will judge the results himself." Kias looked between us. "Remember your duty, Solon. Some lines should never be crossed." Then he left. Septimus and I stood in silence. "He'll move against us," he said. "He's only doing what he believes is right." I didn't believe it. "What he was trained to believe is right," Septimus replied, "as were we, until we remembered." Later, I finished my report, leaving out the talk of rebellion and faith, but I knew a line had been crossed. That night, I dreamed again of my mother's face. This time she spoke a word I could not remember when I woke, only the feeling of deep, painful longing. Now I understood what the awakened felt, what Torian believed. They were not a failed experiment. They were something new. Space Marines who remembered being human. And that truth, that hope, might save or doom us all. The air in the apothecarium was thick with silence after the chapter's new orders came down. Even the guards had changed. Now every awakened subject was watched by armed chapter serfs. It was another clear sign that trust was fading. Caius stood near the examination table, his voice cold. "Your closeness with the subjects worries me, Solon," he said. "You talk to them like brothers, not experiments. You let them act freely, and that's not your place." "I'm building trust," I answered, keeping my eyes on my data slate. "It helps them cooperate, makes observation easier." "Or maybe," Caius said sharply, "it's blinding you. Maybe you've forgotten your duty." I set the slate down and met his gaze. "What are you saying, Brother Caius?" He stepped closer. "You know what I mean. I've read your reports. You describe their physical changes in detail, but you skip over their doubts, their questions, their human memories that should have been erased. You're hiding things. I report what I see, I said carefully. If we differ, maybe it's just perspective. Caius's eyes narrowed. Perspective? There's no perspective in the Codex. There's duty, purpose, truth. Have your awakened pets made you forget that? His words were an accusation and a threat. Questioning my loyalty could mean reprogramming, or worse. I steadied my voice. My loyalty to the Raven Guard and the Emperor is beyond question. But this experiment exists to test new ideas. If we reject every difference as corruption, we learn nothing. Caius's tone turned cold. Some things can't be questioned, Solon. The heresy taught us that. Did it? I said before I could stop myself. Or did it teach us that blind obedience can destroy everything? Caius froze, his hand resting on his sidearm. For a heartbeat, I thought he'd shoot me. Then he exhaled slowly. I'll pray for you, and I'll do what must be done for the chapter. He left, the door closing like a sentence. I stood alone among the hum of machines. I knew what would happen next. Caius would report me. The experiment would be shut down. The awakened would be erased. Minds wiped or bodies destroyed. Their gene seed reused in soldiers easier to control. Unless I acted. The thought came to me clear as glass and heretical. I could warn Torion, help them escape before the chapter moved, betray everything I had been made to protect. For what? For men who remembered being human? For a dream I couldn't forget? For the voice of the mother I couldn't recall but still heard in dreams? I sank onto the cold metal slab, my body heavy with choice. Duty or doubt? Loyalty or truth? The path I had followed for 200 years or a new one I could barely see? In the end, it wasn't reason that decided me. It was something smaller, simpler, human. I thought of Torion holding Octavius's hand when he was hurt, of Septimus talking about his children, of 20 warriors who remembered what it meant to care, to feel. I made my choice. May the Emperor forgive me if he still lives to forgive anyone. That night, I moved through the fortress monastery like a ghost. The Raven Guard had trained me well, how to hide, how to move unseen, how to bend systems to my will. I shut down cameras, rerouted patrols, used my apothecary access to pass through locked doors. Every step was a betrayal, every breath defiance, and yet for the first time in my life, I felt free. The guards at the awakened quarters never saw me coming. I didn't kill them, just injected enough sedative to keep them asleep. I entered quietly. Torion was waiting. You've made your choice, he said. It wasn't a question. Caius will report me. The chapter will move against you, maybe tomorrow. And you? He asked. His eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, searching me for an answer. I don't know what I am anymore. Not a full Astartes, not human, something in between. A faint smile touched his lips. That's the most human thing you've ever said. The others emerged from their rooms, 19 transhuman warriors. They moved like space marines, but their faces showed emotion, fear, hope, determination. We have a plan, Torion said. Tell me. They had prepared for this moment all along. They had studied escape routes, stored weapons and supplies, even secured a ship. They had hidden everything in plain sight. But how? I asked. You were watched. Your messages traced. Dwayne smiled grimly. We were soldiers before we were Astartes. We learned to survive under eyes far sharper than these. Their plan was mad, but it could work. They would use my codes to reach the hangar, steal a ship and flee to the outer systems, beyond the Raven Guard's reach. There, they could begin again, a new kind of Astartes, one that remembered why it thought. "And you want me to help?" I asked. Torian shook his head. "We need you, not just for your codes, because you understand us, because you remember." I should have refused, should have sounded the alarm, should have obeyed the Emperor's will. Instead, I said, "When do we move?" "Now," he answered, "before Caius can act." I nodded. My fate was sealed. There would be no mercy. I would be branded traitor, my name erased, my life forgotten. But maybe in that forgetting, I would find myself again. We moved like shadows through the dark halls, 21 of us, silent and sure. We bypassed cameras, evaded patrols, used my apothecary access to pass through locked doors. The plan was working. We were almost free. Then the alarms began. Red light flooded the corridor. Boots thundered from both ends. We were trapped. "Caius," I said. "He must have gone straight to command." Torian's face hardened. "Then we fight our way through. We are Astartes, the Emperor's finest." "No," I said, realization hitting me. "This isn't a reaction. It's a trap. They knew I'd come. They wanted to see if you could turn me, if I'd betray them." Torian froze. "You mean I was the test," I said bitterly, "and I failed." The blast doors at both ends opened. Fully armed Raven Guard poured in, their armor gleaming black. At their head was Captain Agapito, his bolter pistol aimed at my heart. "Apoplecticus Solon," he said, "you are charged with heresy and betrayal. Surrender now." I raised my empty hands. "The awakened are not guilty, Captain. The fault is mine." "The experiment is over," Agapito said coldly. "The Primarch has judged." The blood drained from my face. "What judgment?" Agapito's words echoed through the corridor. "Lord Corax has declared the experiment a failure. The subjects are to be terminated, their gene seed reused in soldiers easier to control." The awakened tensed. Torian stepped forward, his eyes glowing with fury. "Failure?" he said. "We remembered what it meant to be human. How can that be failure?" "Because it is heresy," Agapito answered. "The Emperor made us to be warriors, not men. Humanity is weakness." "Humanity is strength," he shouted. "It's what lets us fight for something greater than orders. You've forgotten that." Agapito raised his weapon. "Enough." The moment broke into chaos. Bolter fire thundered through the narrow corridor, the air filled with smoke and blood. I dove behind a support pillar as the awakened charged, moving with deadly precision. They fought like the Emperor's angels, but not out of obedience. They fought for each other, for freedom, for the right to remember. I tried to stop it. "No!" I yelled, but my voice was lost in the roar. One by one, the awakened fell. Even their enhanced bodies couldn't match the full might of the chapter. Torian fought like a man possessed, cutting through two battle brothers before a plasma shot struck his chest. He dropped to his knees, armor smoking. I ran to him, ignoring the shouts and gunfire around me. "Stay with me," I said, kneeling beside him. He coughed, a trickle of blood escaping his lips. "We almost made it," he said, his voice faint. "Almost proved it could be different." "You did," I said. "You showed me it could be." He managed a weak smile. "Then maybe it wasn't all in vain." His hand gripped mine, strong even in death. "Don't let them forget us." Then his eyes went still. The fighting was over. Smoke hung heavy in the air. All around me lay the bodies of the awakened, brothers who had dared to remember what they once were. Agapito approached, his pistol still smoking. "It didn't have to end this way, Solon," he said. "You could have stopped it." I looked up at him.
numb. You think this is victory? You killed the only true sons of humanity left in this fortress. They were traitors, he said flatly. You'll be judged as one too. Two Marines stepped forward, grabbing my arms. I didn't resist. What was left to fight for? The awakened were dead. The dream was gone. As they dragged me away, I glanced back at Torion's body. His face was peaceful, almost human. They locked me in a cold cell deep beneath the monastery. Days or maybe weeks passed. No one spoke to me except the guards who brought food. I spent the hours replaying every moment, every choice, wondering if there had ever been another path. Then one day, the door opened. Agapito stood there again. Lord Corax has reviewed your case, he said. You will not be executed. You will be reassigned. Reassigned? I asked. After all this? He nodded. Your knowledge is valuable. Your mind will be cleansed and repurposed. Mind cleansed. Stripped of memory, emotion, identity. A living shell that obeyed without thought. For a long time, I said nothing. Then I smiled faintly. You can erase my memories, Captain, but you can't erase what's already changed. Agapito frowned. What do you mean? Humanity is contagious, even among the angels of death. He didn't reply. He just turned and signaled the guards. As they led me away, I heard a voice, soft, distant, the same voice that haunted my dreams. My mother's voice, calling my name, though I could no longer remember it. And in that moment, I understood Torion's final wish. They could take my mind. They could bury the truth. But somewhere, in the cracks of the Imperium, the idea would survive. That Space Marines could remember, could feel, could be more than weapons. That night, before the cleansing began, I closed my eyes and whispered the only prayer I still believed in. For the awakened. For the ones who remembered. Then the machines hummed to life, and the light swallowed everything. Solon was in the lab when he noticed another change in rules. The chapter did not trust him anymore. When the room was empty, Kias spoke. Your closeness to the test subjects worries me, Solon. You talk to them like they are your brothers, not experiments. You let them act freely. No apothecary should allow that. I'm building trust, Solon said, still reading his data slate. It helps them cooperate. It gives better results. Kias's voice turned sharp. Or it makes you forget who you are. Maybe you care more about them than your duty. Solon put down the slate and looked at him. What are you saying, Brother Kias? I think you know. I read your reports. You describe their bodies well, but you hide the strange parts, how they question orders, remember human lives, resist control. You ignore what matters. I only report what I see, Solon said carefully. If my view is different, maybe it's just perspective. Kias frowned. Perspective? The Codex allows no such thing. Our duty is clear. Our purpose is absolute. Or have these awakened made you forget that? The words hit hard. Kias was not only questioning Solon's work, he was questioning his loyalty. If Kias reported him, Solon could lose everything, even his mind. My loyalty to the Emperor and the Raven Guard is certain, Solon said, forcing his voice to stay calm. But this experiment is meant to test new ideas. If we call every change corruption, we learn nothing. Some questions should never be asked. The heresy taught us that. Or did it teach us that blind obedience is just as dangerous? Warriors who never think can destroy as much as those who never obey. Solon asked before he could stop himself. Caius stepped back shocked. His hand moved to his pistol. For a moment, Solon thought he might draw it. But Caius forced himself to stay calm. "I will pray for you, Solon. And I will do what must be done for the good of the chapter." He left, and the door shut behind him like a judgment. Solon stood alone in the cold room surrounded by machines. The clean, chemical smell felt sickening. Caius would report him. The experiment would end. The awakened would be killed, their gene seed saved, their names erased. Another failed test. Unless Solon acted. The thought shocked him. He could warn Torion. He could help the awakened escape before the chapter destroyed them. But that would mean betrayal of the Raven Guard, of the Emperor, of everything he had believed for 200 years. For what? For men who remembered being human? For a faint memory of a woman's voice calling a name he had forgotten? He sat down, his heavy frame filled with doubt. Duty or heresy? Loyalty or hope? In the end, it was not big ideas that decided him. It was small human memories. Torion holding Octavius's hand. Septimus talking about his children. The awakened showing care and emotion that real space marines had long lost. He made his choice. "May the Emperor forgive me," he whispered. That night, Solon moved through the fortress like a shadow. He used all the stealth the Raven Guard had taught him. He shut down cameras, changed patrol routes, and opened locked doors. Each step was treason, but he felt calm. For the first time, he acted on his own will. He reached the awakened's quarters. 2 guards stood outside. Solon did not kill them, he only gave them enough sedative to sleep. Inside, Torion was waiting. "You've made your choice," Torion said. "I know Caius will report me. The chapter will move against you soon. Maybe tomorrow." "And you?" Torion asked, looking straight into his eyes.
"Knowledge is too dangerous to preserve," he said, "that some questions should never have been asked." I looked Torian, saw the understanding dawn in his eyes. The experiment had never been about creating a new type of Astartes. It had been about confirming the wisdom of the Emperor's original design, about proving that Space Marines who remembered being human would inevitably turn against the Imperium they were created to defend. And I, in my arrogance, or my awakening humanity, had given them exactly the proof they sought. "No," I said, dropping my hands and stepping forward. "You're wrong. The Awakened aren't a failure. They're a glimpse of what Astartes could be. Warriors who defend humanity because they remember being human, not because they're conditioned to obey without question." "Dangerous rhetoric," Apothecary Agapito said, his bolt pistol unwavering. "The same rhetoric that led to the heresy, to brother killing brother while Terra burned. The heresy happened because the traitor legions forgot what they were fighting for," I argued desperately. "Because they were weapons without conscience, warriors without wisdom. If they had remembered their humanity, would they have turned so easily?" "Enough," Agapita's voice cut like a blade. "Your corruption runs deeper than we feared. The chief librarian will determine if your mind can be salvaged. As for the subjects," he gestured to the Astartes beside him, "contain them, use lethal force if necessary." "No!" I moved to place myself between the Awakened and the Battle Brothers, knowing the futility of the gesture even as I made it. One apothecary against a dozen full Startes in battle plate. The outcome was predetermined, but Torian's hand on my shoulder stopped me. "It's all right, Solon," he said, using my given name for the first time. "We knew the risks when we volunteered. We knew what might happen if we remembered too much, questioned too deeply." "This isn't right," I insisted. "This isn't justice." "Perhaps not," he agreed. "But it is the Imperium we chose to serve, even knowing its flaws, even understanding its cruelties." He stepped past me, facing Captain Agapito with his head held high, unarmed but unbroken. "We surrender, Captain. No blood need be shed today, not even for the sake of an experiment." The other Awakened followed his lead, falling into formation behind him. 19 transhuman warriors who had dared to question the fundamental assumptions of the Astartes, who had remembered being men, even as their bodies became weapons of war. Agapito seemed almost disappointed by their peaceful surrender. Perhaps he had expected, even hoped for resistance that would justify their immediate execution. Instead, he was left with prisoners whose very existence raised questions the chapter preferred not to answer. "Take them to containment," he ordered. "Apothecary Var is to be escorted to the librarium for evaluation. Lord Korax will determine their ultimate fate." As the Awakened were led away, Torian caught my eye one last time. There was no fear in his gaze, no regret, only a serene acceptance, and something else, something that looked almost like pity, not for himself, but for me, for all Astartes who had forgotten what they had once been. Then he was gone, and I was left alone with my failure and the bitter knowledge that I had not only failed to save the Awakened, but had likely sealed their doom by my misguided attempt to help them. The Battle Brothers who escorted me to the librarium were silent, their contempt palpable even through their sealed helmets. I had betrayed the chapter, betrayed my oaths, betrayed everything I had been created to uphold. In their eyes, there could be no greater sin. Yet, as we walked the cold corridors of the fortress monastery, as I contemplated the mind-scrubbing that almost certainly awaited me, I found myself wondering if the true betrayal had happened long ago, when the Emperor decreed that his angels of death should forget their humanity in order to better serve it, when he created warriors who could kill without remorse, obey without question, sacrifice without hesitation. Perhaps the Awakened had been right all along. Perhaps remembering was not a weakness but a strength, not corruption but clarity. Too late now. Too late for them, too late for me, or so I thought. The librarium was dark when we arrived, illuminated only by the flickering blue light of psychic wards and the soft glow of ancient data terminals. The Battle Brothers left me there, securing the entrance behind them. I was alone, or so it seemed, in the vast chamber that housed the chapter's accumulated knowledge and its most dangerous secrets. "Apothecary Solenv," a voice spoke from the shadows, deep and resonant, carrying the weight of authority that needed no amplification. "You have disappointed me." I turned slowly, knowing who I would see. Lord Kororox himself stepped from the darkness, his massive frame making even the spacious librarium seem small. The Primarch of the Raven Guard, Gene Father to us all. His pale features as unreadable as ever, his eyes like chips of obsidian that reflected no light. I sank to one knee, head bowed as protocol demanded. "My lord, I have failed in my duty. I allowed myself to be influenced by the subjects, to question what should never have been questioned." "Yes," he agreed, his voice devoid of anger, which somehow made it worse. "You did. The question is, why? You were chosen for this project because of your loyalty, your discretion, your unwavering commitment to the chapter and its principles. What changed, Apothecary?" I hesitated, knowing that any answer I gave would likely seal my fate. The truth would condemn me as corrupted beyond redemption. A lie would be detected instantly by the Primarch's transhuman senses. In the end, I chose the truth, not because it would save me, but because, after everything that had happened, I owed the Awakened at least that much to speak honestly about what they had shown me, about what they had awakened in me. "I dreamed of my mother," I said simply. For the first time in 2 centuries of service, I remembered that I had been someone's child before I was the chapter's weapon, and it changed me. Kororax was silent for a long moment, his face unreadable in the dim light of the librarium. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, though no less powerful for it. "Do you know why the Emperor designed the Astartes to forget, Apothecary? Why the hypno-indoctrinations, the chemical reconfigurations, the psychological conditioning are all engineered to eliminate distractions? Emotional attachments that might compromise battlefield efficiency." "That is the practical reason," Kororox acknowledged. "But there is another, deeper purpose, one that few outside the ranks of the Primarchs ever understood. The Emperor made you forget because remembering would be too painful. Because no human mind, even one enhanced as yours has been, could bear the weight of what we ask you to do while also remembering what you once were." He moved closer, his massive shadow falling over me. "Imagine, Apothecary, imagine remembering your mother's face, your father's voice, the warmth of a home, the innocence of childhood. Imagine carrying those memories through centuries of warfare, of bloodshed, of witnessing atrocities that would break any mortal mind." I remained silent, but I did not need to speak. The horror must have shown on my face. "The forgetting is not a weakness in the Emperor's design," Kororox continued. "It is a mercy, one of the few mercies in the creation of the Astartes. Your Awakened discovered this truth in the hardest possible way. They remembered, and in remembering, they began to break under the weight of what they had become. They seemed strong to me," I argued, though I knew the futility of debating with a Primarch. Unified in purpose, clear in their conviction that remembering made them better defenders of humanity. "For now," Kororox agreed, "while the transformation is still new, while the memories are still fresh. But what about a century from now? A millennium? How long before the dissonance between what they were and what they have become drives them to madness, to despair, to rebellion not born of ideological conviction, but of psychological fracture? I had no answer, could have none. The time span he described was beyond my comprehension, though not beyond his. The Primarchs were created to think in such terms, to see patterns that would take millennia to unfold. The experiment was never about creating a new type of Astartes, Kororox confirmed, what I had already begun to suspect. It was about testing the wisdom of the Emperor's original design, about proving for once and for all that the forgetting is necessary, that it is kindness, not cruelty. And my role, I asked, though I feared I already knew? To observe, to document, and ultimately to be tested yourself. His obsidian eyes bored into my mind, to see if an Astartes who had fully embraced his transhuman nature could be drawn